What the British people are owed is an explanation. Because a failure on this scale isn't just bad luck, it isn't a global trend or taking your eye off the ball. No, this is a different order of failure. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders. Global Britain. Remember that slogan? That is what they meant. A policy with no support, and which they then pretended wasn't happening.
Keir Starmer's recent apology to British society was not just an ordinary political step, it was a cry for help caused by growing discontent and anger. After months of criticism from all sides, when his leadership was under threat, Starmer finally decided to take this step. His actions have been the subject of heated debate across the country, especially after decisions such as pension cuts and a controversial inheritance tax for farmers caused a storm of outrage among people. This change did not happen by accident, it was carefully planned, and there were serious intentions behind it. The policy was changed to liberalize immigration, and Brexit was used as a tool to turn Britain into an experiment with one nation and open borders. Why do you remember the slogan Global Britain? It was not just a word, it was an illusion, behind which there was a policy without support, about which they pretended that nothing was happening. For many, this apology looked belated and insincere. Starmer finally admitted that his approach was flawed, that serious mistakes had been made, and that the party's connection to society had been destroyed. But what was behind this change? Obviously, Starmer is under tremendous pressure. The popularity of the Labour Party was plummeting, and his leadership was increasingly being questioned even within his own team. In a rare moment of humility, he acknowledged the gap between what his government was offering and what the public actually wanted.
Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have allowed asylum seekers to live in their spare homes. Oh, no, sorry, my mistake. They're profiting off the fact that you now pay for them to live on Downing Street by letting out their spare houses. Easy mistake to make. The Telegraph reports that the Prime Minister is now a landlord. It's believed that the home that he bought for £650,000 in 2004 is now worth a cool £2 million. And he could be making between £3,000 to £5,000 a month from renting it out. The Chancellor is also doing rather well. Her husband, who it will come as no surprise for you to learn, is a top civil servant, and Reeves reportedly makes 74 grand a year alone from renting out their house and a two-bedroom central London flat. It's reported that Reeves also has a house in Leeds, so that's quite the property portfolio, but it's nowhere near as impressive.
This is a signal that there is more ahead of us, which he hopes will lead to a long-awaited change of leadership. But is it enough? Can an apology really fix everything, or has the damage already been done so deeply that it cannot be healed? After his apologies, Starmer is not going to sit back and hope that everything will work out by itself. No, he's ready to act. He intends to restart the Labour Party, aiming for a complete reset. He realizes that he has made serious mistakes, and is determined to correct them, ready to fight for every opportunity to regain the respect and support of the people.
Now, it's been 150 days of Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. It's been the kind of car crash that the M6 will be proud of. But forget the 150 days. I've been off for 2 and a bit weeks. Let's just have a look at what's happened in that short space of time. We've had farmers' protests. Then it emerged that Labour was crippling British farmers to raise £520 million, but they're giving away £560 million to foreign farmers in foreign aid. Keir Starmer then, quotes, fled like a rat out of the back door whilst farmers protested the Welsh Labour.
But given that many voters are unhappy, this may be his last chance to change the situation and regain trust. The timing is perfect, especially against the background of a petition demanding his resignation signed by 3 million people. The anger of the people is palpable, and it permeates the atmosphere. It is not only the discontent of political opponents, but also the disappointment of his own supporters, who are beginning to lose faith in him. Calling for a restart, Starmer openly admits that he is not the leader the country imagined him to be. Will this event be able to change the course of events, or will it be perceived as another unsuccessful attempt to minimize damage? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, Starmer realizes that time is not on his side, and he is running out of options.
Well, our electoral system says we have to endure another 150 days, but you know, the question should be, how much damage is he going to cause in the next 150 days? You've just gone through what he's done in the first 150. And you know, he's talking about this relaunch, this reset that's going to happen on Thursday. You know, this is just the act of a desperate, floundering government. He doesn't need... You know, he calls this relaunch, Patrick, the most ambitious plan for government in a generation. This is what his manifesto was supposed to be. This is what his budget was supposed to be. This is what was in the King's Speech. All of that was supposed to reset this country after the Tory.
The petition against Starmer is not just a small protest, but a real cry for help, a wake-up call that cannot be ignored. When 3 million people signed a demand for his resignation, it became quite clear how deeply society was disappointed and opposed to him. At first, Starmer did not take it seriously, even laughed, believing that this was just a fleeting manifestation of discontent. But such a frivolous reaction only inflamed the anger of people who longed to be heard. Now, after months of dealing with the consequences of his neglect, Starmer has changed his tactics. His unexpected restart is a desperate attempt to prove that he is really ready to listen and change. But here's the problem. Is it possible to restore trust after he rejected a petition signed by 3 million people? His initial reaction only increased discontent and skepticism, leaving people completely confused. Will his attempt to regain the public's trust work, or is it too little and too late?
There's some extraordinary celebratory scenes outside Britain's prisons where in some cases serious career criminals were released. And this to make way for, yes, rioters, but equally those who've said unpleasant things on Facebook and elsewhere on social media. Does the Prime Minister understand? There is a growing feeling of anger in this country that we are living through two-tier policing and a two-tier justice system.
I'm angry to be put in a position of having to release people who should be in prison because the last government broke the prison system. And the Prime Minister was repeatedly warned. He had his own release scheme. He was repeatedly warned that he had to adopt the scheme that we put in place. The former Justice Minister said if we don't do it, we'll have to get down on our knees and pray.
Now that Starmer has finally apologized and called for a restart of his work, everyone is looking forward to what he is going to offer. The public is already tired of empty promises, and after controversial decisions on pensions and inheritance tax, their skepticism has reached a critical point. People were furious when the Starmer-led Labour Party decided to take money away from pensioners and raised inheritance tax, which severely hit farmers. This policy caused a storm of indignation and was perceived as frankly unfair and inappropriate. Now, his restart will probably focus on trying to fix these mistakes and regain trust, but will he be able to do it? Time will tell, but expectations are high and people are demanding real changes.
The problem is they're in a position of power now, and it's through lies. You should be truthful with the British public about what they were going to do when they was in power. Julia, if you or I applied for a job and after 3 months we couldn't do the job that we said we could...
There it is. I mean, that was his thinking. He probably didn't even imagine it would do what it's done. My only take, Simon, on this is I don't know what it achieves.
Yeah, well, you know, you could count on one hand the number of petitions I've signed in the last 35 years. I rarely ever sign petitions, but I've signed this one because I think we need to show the wider community, the wider population in Britain, that we are not happy with this government and the way that they've behaved to gain power and the way that they're behaving now that they are in power. So I think it's having a big impact. And as you pointed out, I think 10 Downing Street will start questioning the numbers as they steadily...
A simple policy review is clearly not enough to restore trust. Starmer should not just apologize, but prove that he really understands the anger and discontent of the public. If he wants to win back voters, he needs to demonstrate a genuine shift in Labour's approach. This means that he must offer real, practical solutions that will reduce the cost of living, develop effective economic plans and strategies that will really benefit ordinary people, not just the rich or large corporations. Restarting the Starmer should be more than just empty words. The public is demanding change, and they want to see real action, not another soulless press release. If he can solve these problems directly, he still has a chance to restore trust. But if not, the damage may already be irreparable. What do you think about this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you later.